So former FBI Director James Comey, who was disgracefully fired by Donald Trump during his first term, is in serious trouble after he posted on Instagram the numbers 8647, which has been adopted by the radical violent left as a euphemism for kill Donald Trump. This, coming from a high-profile Democrat, let alone a former FBI director, has sparked massive outrage. As it stands, Secret Service and the FBI are investigating this, and he very well could face jail time. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but let's start with getting you up to speed and showing you this clip from CNN explaining what happened.
Former FBI Director James Comey is under investigation for a now deleted Instagram post. The Trump administration claims that it presented a threat against President Trump. The picture, it shows seashells arranged to read 8647. 86, a generally used term in the restaurant industry, especially to mean either an item isn't available or referring to getting rid of or tossing something out. Trump is the 47th president, of course. The Republican uproar on this was swift. The president's son, Don Trump Jr., posted this: "Just James Comey casually calling for my dad to be murdered. This is who the Dem media worships." Comey denied the picture was a call for violence. He explained in another post that he saw the shells while walking on the beach and thought it was, quote, a political message, and adding, "I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence." Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says her agency and the Secret Service are now investigating.
Okay, so despite the extremely radical and dangerous post, which is inexcusable, what a lot of people are really furious about is James Comey's attempt at playing stupid and saying he had no idea what he was posting meant, which is completely exposed as a lie in the same sentence because he admits he knew that it was a political message. How would you know that the numbers 8647 represent a political message? Unless you know that 8647 is commonly used by the radical left as a euphemism for kill Donald Trump. Those numbers have no meaning to you. How could you interpret a political message from that without prior knowledge of what that means? It just shows how comfortable Trump deranged people are with calling for the assassination of the sitting president. Now, throughout this video, you're gonna see clips of the liberal media try to justify it, try to downplay it, try to make it seem like everything is fine and dandy and our outrage is unjustified. But before I show you some of those clips, let's hear Donald Trump respond to this.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent, but he was competent enough to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard. Because people like me, and they like what's happening with our country. Our country has become respected again, and all this. And he's calling for the assassination of the president.
Obviously, he apologized and said he
well, he
wasn't calling
apologized
for
he was
violence. But
look, he's a very bad.
What do you want to see happen? What do you want to see happen?
I don't want to take a position on it because that's going to be up to Pam and all of the great people. But I will say this: I think it's a terrible thing. And when you add his history to that, if he had a clean history, he doesn't. He's a dirty cop. He's a dirty cop. And if he had a clean history, I could understand if there was a leniency. But I'm going to let them make that decision.
Again, his facetious attempt to plead ignorance is just insulting to the intelligence of the American people. As I said before, how can he claim he posted it because he thought it was a politically relevant message, but then claim he was unaware of what it meant and that it was calling for violence, when if you didn't know that, it would just be a random set of numbers that are meaningless? Now, I see this as a scary revelation of desperation from the Democrats, as they're starting to lose more and more control over Donald Trump being able to implement his agenda. And while Democrats want to say we're the ones blowing this out of proportion, here's Tulsi Gabbard on Fox News talking about a Rutgers poll that shows a majority of Democrats are okay with somebody trying to assassinate Donald Trump. This is scary stuff. Take a look.
There has to be accountability for this. There was a Rutgers study that just came out a little over a month ago, Jesse, that asked respondents their view on these calls to assassinate President Trump. And over 55% of respondents felt that murdering President Trump would be, quote unquote, somewhat justified. This is the effect of people like James Comey doing this kind of stuff. This study also pointed out that there is a quote unquote assassination culture that is starting to take over the views of what they call the extreme left.
And she's 100% right. You don't even need a Rutgers study to tell you this. If you're on X in the slightest bit, every other post coming from a Democrat is talking about how they can't wait for someone to assassinate Trump. So not only are the Democrats already the most un-American party that can possibly exist, but now part of their party ideology is advocating to kill a president. And it's more than people just like James Comey doing this. The liberal media is 100% complicit in the way they spread lies about Donald Trump being a threat to democracy, a fascist, a Nazi, coming for your rights. They are deliberately creating a misleading narrative that can only cause political violence. People on X will say, well, if you ever wondered what you would do if the Nazis were around, here's your chance now, basically advocating for Democrats to get violent. And again, this isn't even us having some crazy imagination. There have been 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life already. And if radical Democrats who are just getting fed the Donald Trump is a Nazi propaganda are already willing to blow his head off, what do you think those lunatics are gonna do when they see a former FBI director posting a series of numbers that same radical left base has adopted as code word for kill Donald Trump? They are going to see that as an endorsement, as a green light, as those of us in the system who also oppose Donald Trump are behind you. Here's Tulsi Gabbard also ripping into James Comey for playing dumb and acting like he had no idea what he was posting.
Are you buying that the former FBI director didn't know what 86 Trump meant?
Absolutely not, Jesse. That is a ridiculous and insane statement to make, certainly within this context, but especially coming from a guy who's the former director of the FBI, a guy who spent most of his career prosecuting mobsters and gangsters, people who know and execute other humans and use this exact lingo of 86. Comey himself admitted in his follow-on message that he knew that this was a political statement. Well, the only reason he knew that, Jesse, was because a little over a month ago, a bunch of anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protesters were proliferating the use of this 8647 slogan, which was a veiled call to action to murder the sitting president of the United States.
Again, it has one meaning, one possible meaning. There aren't an abundance of interpretations that can be made from 8647. That would be like somebody saying from the river to the sea. And when you point out that they're calling for the extermination of an entire country, all the Jews within it, they say, oh no, I'm just supporting Palestinian freedom. It's like they think they can lie and manipulate their way out of reality. They're like little kids who hide underneath the blankets and pretend that everything outside of the blankets no longer exists. They think if they just continuously lie and never admit it, even in the face of overwhelming proof, then we'll just somehow eventually believe the lies because plausible deniability. Now, here's a CNN panel joking and making light of the whole situation, trying to explain to their brainwashed viewers that 8647 is very broad and can mean a lot of different things.
I worked at a restaurant as a waiter at one point. We would talk about 86ing the specials, right? Like, it's not always like shooting something. You can interpret it that way, and certainly with the assassination attempt there, it changes all of it. It's definitely trying to make this an issue.
So they just revert to the typical Democrat strategy of just insincere intellectual dishonesty. Well, in the restaurant industry, we use 86, and that doesn't mean to go and assassinate the food. I worked at Olive Garden as a server. Yes, I know the server lingo. 86 means to get rid of, to eliminate, to take off the menu. Obviously, the way that you would apply it to restaurant work isn't the same way that you would apply it to saying 86 a person. You're clearly taking the eliminate part of the 86 and applying it to a human being, thus making it mean something entirely different than the way it's used in the restaurant industry. That's common sense. Any kid could understand that, but they would rather just insult the intelligence of the American people and spoon feed propaganda to their base, even though that same base is well aware of the true meaning of 8647. And when they try to make excuses like, oh no, we just mean remove Trump, like remove him from office, impeach him, then why wouldn't you say impeach Trump? They've clearly said it before. That's certainly something that they were calling for. And now you want us to believe that they just conveniently replaced impeach with 86. Even though the radical, violent Democrats that want Donald Trump assassinated have openly co-opted the 8647 and openly admit that it means to assassinate Donald Trump. Again, he openly stated that he knew it was a political message, but conveniently didn't explain the alternative message that he thought it represented. These people are snakes, and they're becoming more and more unhinged as they're losing control. And CNN proves that in this latest polling that shows Donald Trump's approval numbers surging.
I think it's time for a bit of a reality check, right? We were going to late April. Donald Trump's approval rating, his net approval seemed to be falling. He seemed to be adios amigos. People were writing his political obituary. He is rising from the dead. Look at this. Hello, Trump's net approval rating among voters. This is the Reuters Ipsos polling. Look at this. In late April, he was 8 points underwater. But look at where he was in the most recent poll among voters. He's up 7 points to a -1 point net favorability rating. This is not the picture I think a lot of people were thinking that we would be painting in late April. I think a lot of people expected his approval rating to keep dropping, but at least according to Reuters Ipsos, it's in fact.
Why did it bottom out? Why might it be rising?
Okay, why? Well, take a look at the chance of a recession. It's actually falling. The chance of a recession is falling. In late April, it was 60% according to J.P. Morgan. Look at where it is now. It's less than 50%. How about Goldman Sachs? You see the same thing. 45%, now falling to 35%. The bottom line is, it is the economy, the economy, the economy.
Now, you guys watch my channel, so you already know how I feel about the polls. I don't think that they're the gospel. I think that they're honestly pretty unreliable overall. I mean, Donald Trump is down 8 points. Now he's down 1 point. No real solid explanation for why. I don't think any normal person has ever gotten a call from a pollster and spoken with them. So these people that they're talking to are evidently hyper political. And I have to take a guess and say most likely left leaning. I mean, their explanation that, well, Goldman Sachs reduced their recession chances, so now Americans are feeling confident, and that's what's leading to the boost in the approval numbers. Yeah, the average American is sitting around saying, hey, Goldman Sachs said that there's a less chance of a recession, so now I'm happier with Donald Trump. These are the same experts that said that Biden's inflation was transitory, and Biden economics was a magical, beautiful thing that worked, even though the entire country couldn't feel it. So people already don't trust these experts, but now we're supposed to believe that these experts and their opinions on whether a recession might occur or might not occur is leading to some massive boost in approval. No, the reality is Donald Trump is just extremely popular. He's still popular. He's probably even more popular. He's winning on all of his key issues. People are satisfied with what he's doing. The American people are proud, and the Democrats just absolutely can't stand it, and now they're resorting to political violence again. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you made it to the end of the video, type in "I made it" down in the comments. I want to see how many people reach the end. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you go ahead and smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.